Add to stage. Okay, I see that.
Yeah, add to stage and you should be fine.
Okay. And now, are you looking at it right now still? Does it have me in the corner?
There you go. That's perfect. Now you're on.
Okay. Wow, I just got done weed eating, and it's like 100 here in Orlando this morning.
Yeah, so you're live right now. I got you on the camera. So right now it's showing you wiping your sweat because obviously it looks really hot over there.
Yeah, and
so if you go to present screen or share screen or just one of the other screens that you have there, it should let you
how's that?
present the screen and show what you're doing with the draft.
Okay. All right, now it looks like I got the draft on here, and I'm on here. Now, how do I move myself down into the corner where you keep yourself at, Disco?
Okay, so you see there's at the bottom there where it has all the options for different camera angles.
Yep.
To the right, there should be a little pencil where it says edit.
Yep.
Click on that. But
okay.
You got to click on one of the custom boxes first.
Okay. Okay, well, this is better. Let's see if it saves.
This is perfectly fine. And just interact with the chat, do what you got to do, and then after your show, we can get you some boxes later, right, buddy?
Cool. Thank you, Disco, for calling me and helping me here.
Pleasure, buddy.
Appreciate it. Good luck drafting. I'm on the clock.
Yeah, man. Do your thing. I'll be in the chat, okay?
All right, bud. I like Nico Collins. He's my sleeper wide receiver this year. Nobody did more with less targets last year. He has the reception perception stamps of approval. I'm going to take Davante Adams. I think Davante Adams should be ranked higher. I know he's got some quarterback issues. I'm not really that sure who I really love there. I wish A.J. Brown would have fell to 12. I can't believe he made it to 11. Jonathan Taylor, I do see him sliding up the drafts a lot lately. I think there's a lot of hype on him having a big year, and I can get behind that. I would take Jonathan Taylor before I would take Drake London, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Harrison. Actually, I was going to take Jonathan Taylor there. I was looking for him, but I was a little sidetracked, and I kind of got lost there. So I took Davante Adams. I don't think he's washed. All right. So these contract extensions, holy cow. Josh Allen, I think he's the 12th highest paid quarterback in the league. This is crazy. You know, the thing about Josh Allen is his all-time favorite player growing up was Tom Brady. And, you know, Tom always took a little bit of less money for the team. And now Josh and Tom are real good friends. They golf together. They hang out. And I wouldn't be surprised the least if Tom has advised Josh to not worry about that stuff. He's going to make plenty of money. I don't think Josh is a big diva. I don't think he's complaining that he's not getting paid like these other guys, even though he's clearly the best quarterback besides Mahomes. And there's a couple other guys you could argue are up in that class. But okay, so Disco's got St. Brown and Gibbs. He's probably going to have a nice little Detroit stack here. If it were me, I like the mega stacks. I know that Disco's not the biggest fan. He likes to kind of keep the stacks a little smaller. But if I got St. Brown and Gibbs, I might be looking at Laporta here at this pick. It's not too big of a reach. He's probably not going to make it back. DJ Moore, great pick. I think DJ Moore is just not getting the love he deserves. He's a really good receiver. Caleb Williams looks phenomenal to start camp. I'm starting to boost the Bears receiving core. I think their quarterback situation's better already than it was last year. It's coming up to my pick. I got two wide receivers by weeks 14 and 10. I've been stacking Nico and Tank Dell. I don't believe Stephon Diggs is going to be much of a factor in Houston this year. I'm going to shy away from that. I have enough of that, I think. Here at the turn, there's a few things I really like to do. I like to get Josh Allen. I feel like that's great value, even though it's a little ahead of ADP. I like to get Travis Kelce. He's gone. I like to get Travis Etienne. I feel like, he could be a top 5 running back, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's already been 11 running backs taken, so I think there's great value there. I'm a huge George Pickens fan. I think George Pickens is going to outproduce a lot of the receivers ahead of him. George Pickens has maybe he might be the best deep ball tracker in the NFL today. He's definitely top 5. There's really not too many better guys in the league right now at getting that ball on the sideline or getting the ball deep or just making adjustments while the ball is in the air and coming down with an amazing catch. And I'm not a big Russell Wilson or Justin Fields fan, but those guys both were top 5 last year in their deep ball percentage. And, they're like light years better at throwing the deep ball than some of the other quarterbacks in the league. So I'm personally seeing Pickens as the only receiver there worth even drafting. I don't know why he is behind a lot of these other guys. I would take Pickens. You guys are going to roast me for this, but I would take Pickens before a lot of these receivers that are ahead of him. I mean, I'm not talking smack on these other receivers. I like them, like Devontae Smith. I like them, but I want a number 1 before I take a number 2. It's just my preference. I see A.J. Brown as the clear number 1 there. I don't really see that as a 1A and a 1B. I see maybe Kupp and Nakua more like a 1A and a 1B. I think any given week they could just rotate 10 catches for 100 yards every other game with Matt Stafford. I'm going to check on the chat here. Right. Yeah, this whole I gotta give you guys props, Disco and Sleaze, for being so good with the chat. I'm probably gonna start opening up a second computer here so I can kind of monitor that a little bit easier while I'm paying attention to the draft. Another thing that I really respect the heck out of is how quickly you guys put a good grade on these teams. I just tried to grade the teams the other day after the first little draft I did here, and man, I could spend 15 minutes on each team. But that's just me. Maybe I'm never at a loss for words. I could ramble on and on and on and just never stop rambling. If you go in a car ride with me, you don't have to worry about having the radio on. That's for sure. I'll ask you what your favorite everything is and was. I love to get to know people. I'm an outgoing person. I talk to everybody that looks at me. I'm in the grocery store. I'm helping people pick watermelons. I'm teaching people how to pick peaches and cantaloupes. A little bit about me. I worked in the oil fields for a long time, for 20 plus years. And I was dating a girl that was going to med school, and she was going to treat patients, and I was going to be a nutrition counselor. So I studied plant-based nutrition at Cornell, and I got certified in plant-based nutrition. So I learned how to pick out all the vegetables and fruits. So I make myself handy at the grocery store, and I love to teach people exactly how to pick a good watermelon or exactly how to pick good peaches. I would tell you, buying these expensive produce and having to throw it away is very disappointing. Okay. I got Nico Collins, Devontae Adams, Etienne Pickens. I love my receiver room. I got 3 studs. Travis, I like him. I have a tendency to shy away from bye week 12 running backs early because right around here, there's a really good value on a bunch of running backs I love that are all bye week 12. Like James Cook, Alvin Kamara, the 2 that come to mind. And now I'm screwed. I can't take Cook or Kamara really. I can, but I think I'm going to take Ingram here. I think Ingram should be drafted higher than this. I'm a big fan of getting a tight end that's a stud, and I'm also a real big fan of the bully tight end build, but I prefer to wait on the bully tight end build a little bit and get the value. I'm not exactly sure I love the fact that Dalton Kincaid is so high. I'm a huge Bills fan, but I'm not a huge believer in Dalton Kincaid passing a lot of the guys he's generally getting drafted ahead of this year, specifically guys like Pitts and Ingram and Kittle and Njoku. I think those guys should all have better years than Kincaid, and you're hearing it here from a diehard Bills fan that doesn't miss a thing. I have probably watched every snap of every NFL game for around 12 straight years now. I'm an NFL addict. I don't just watch my team. On game day, I have 4 TVs in my living room. I have streaming service boxes where I get all the games for free. I try my very best to not miss a thing. I try my very best to just dive in and spend about 40 hours a week outside of my work schedule, doing my research every week to come up with my lists of players to target in DFS. I've been sharing DFS lists with about 40 or 50 of my friends for about a decade now, every Sunday. And we've all done very well together for a long time. And I've tried a few different little things to try to get my stuff out there. But my prior life up in Pennsylvania, I was really busy. I skied about 100 days a winter, and I had a snow removal business. So winter made it a little tough for me to really have the extra time to dedicate to, YouTube or a website. But I'm kind of bored down here in Orlando. I don't have a lot of friends down here. I just hang out with the family and play 1 round of golf a week if I'm lucky. And I needed something to kind of take up some time and something for me to make some friends in and have a community. And I can't thank these guys that have helped me, like Disco and Sleaze and Bayou Bengal. If you guys are not following these guys on YouTube or X, you have to. They're super great people. They have great content all the time. It's just spitting out every day. They're great at these drafts. They've been doing them for a while. Okay, Disco. Love that bully tight end build. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Kittle, Round 6. Now that is how you bully tight ends. Screw this third, fourth Kelsey Laporta crap. You got yourself Moore and McLaurin. I'd much rather have the wide receiver depth and Kittle. Kittle could be the number 1 tight end. He's a 1,000-yard tight end. There's just not a whole lot of them. And he's a perfect guy for best ball. I want the guy that has spike weeks. I don't care about having 12 points every week. 5 for 60, 5 for 70 is boring. I want 6 for 110 and 2 touchdowns, and I don't care if you get me 0 the next week because I am covering that base. I'm not relying on just one player ever. I got CJ Stroud falling to me. That was kind of the hope here. I love pairing him up with Nico. I want to get a quarterback here, and I want to get either another wide receiver or running back. I think I'm leaning receiver here because I know in my next 2 picks, I'll probably be wanting to take running back at the 108 and 109 spot. I like values there. I'm on the clock. Man, it is hard to pass up Ferguson. 85. Ferguson. I'm just so into this bully tight end builds. I bet you 80% of my teams have 2 good tight ends and I quit. And I see so much value in that. I don't want 3 tight ends. I don't want 3 tight ends on these teams. I know we got 20 picks. I'm okay with 3 quarterbacks, but I like 2. But I'm not going to beat your team up if you take a 3rd quarterback. I think QB is really important. I think that it probably, I mean, it definitely is, on average, the highest scoring position. And I think you want a guy, on those bye weeks, you want that extra guy to maybe help you out. I was talking about this the other day with my buddy who I'm kind of teaching best ball to. And I mentioned to him, the difference between winning first place in this league might be 1 point, right? Might just be 1 point. And when you take into consideration that you might win this league by a point or 2 points, it really changes how you think about rounds 19 and 20. And if you have 2 QBs and they're studs and your team looks solid everywhere and you're just looking to add, say you're looking to add a 10th receiver or a 6th or a 7th running back. But if you look at your receiver room and your running back room and you think it's solid and you think you got 5 or 6 guys that are really going to be good there and you're not worried about your depth, I like taking a flyer on Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Aiden O'Connell. I'm talking late, guys. I'm talking last pick. Gardner Minshew, Sam Darnold, Jacoby Brissett is being undrafted, and he might start the first 10, 12 games. And he just doesn't even get drafted. And hear me out. If you have, a quarterback that, say you got like me, CJ Stroud, by week 14. And let's say I wait and I take, let's say I take like Geno Smith as my second quarterback. I don't love Geno Smith. I don't think he's a superstar or a stud or anything. I could just quit there. I don't need a 3rd quarterback. And the consensus in the community is just quit. But when Stroud's on his bye, if Geno Smith doesn't have a great game, I might miss first place by 5 points. And I think there's a better chance of one of these other guys at quarterback scoring 30 points on your bye week than some of these 220th pick receivers or running backs. I mean, especially at this point in the draft, people are really starting to reach for their guys more. I noticed the receivers that I was able to get are very difficult to get now. All right, I'm on the clock. I love Devin Singletary. I took Mixon over White so I could get Singletary because I know in this 12 slot he's going to be there. Reaches for him a little bit. And I want 5 starting running backs. That's the goal of my team. I want 5 starting running backs on my team. It's super important to me. I'm not taking Spears. I'm not taking Ford. Those guys are not starters. I'm not taking Javonte Williams. Dude, I hate all the running backs that are left right now. I'm going to take Jacoby Myers. I got Devontae Adams. Now I got Jacoby Myers. One of those guys is going to have a good game almost every week. I'm big into handcuffing receivers. I think it's a smart idea. I like it more when you avoid receivers early in the draft. I think it's a great way to manufacture points if you go running back heavy or a bully tight end, bully QB, anything like that. I really like the idea of pairing up Mike Wilson with Greg Dortch late, Slayton. I like pairing up Slayton with Wandale or I like pairing up Khalif Raymond with St. Brown. When I have St. Brown, I always try to get Raymond, and he's been going earlier and earlier. So don't think you're going to get him at 220. He's just coming off the board. I like pairing up DJ Chark and Quentin Johnson. I like pairing up Jalen Tolbert and CeeDee Lamb. I like pairing up Malachi Corley and Mike Williams. And I've been thinking lately that Mike Williams and Alan Lazard might be a great little cuff. And you can get Lazard in the 20th round. And if Mike Williams doesn't start the season healthy, you know you got Aaron Rodgers, number 1 receiver from his last healthy season, stepping into that role. He could have 200-300-yard games while Williams is working his way back. And I think if the coach is smart, he's gonna share that position with those guys, in my opinion. I am screwed at running back. There is a bunch of guys that I like that went earlier than I'd like them to. I'm hoping like crazy that 2 guys are left when it comes back to me, and I'm going to try to double up on running back here. And if I can get myself 5 starting running backs, that's how I want to build my team. That's probably one of the most important things that I do in my drafts is I target 5 RB1s on every roster. And I know it doesn't work out. A lot of times I just end up with 4, and very rarely I end up with 3. And every time I end up with 3, I just don't like my team. And I see a lot of people taking the kind of playing the lottery at RB2. It's just not my style. I'd rather play the lottery at the late round wide receivers. I think I can get a bunch of wide receiver 2s. I think my knowledge can really help me out with some of these later round wide receiver prospects. The running backs, I get it. I get why you want to take the running backs because running backs have a lot of injuries. What up, guys? JC says, do not draft list. QJ makes that list. Look, I'm not going to argue that. He's been looking good, though. I know it's just a bunch of training camp hype, but every Twitter I see him making a good catch. So I'm taking Ezekiel Elliott here. That's a no-brainer for me. I love Zeke. I think his ADP is just going to keep getting higher and higher. And, I'm taking Nick Chubb. He's not making it back to me. I believe that Nick Chubb is going to be the guy to have there. I'm beating the drum for Nick Chubb. I am putting it out there. My reputation is on the line with Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, don't let me down. You screwed me last year. You owe me this. You owe us this. I love it. Yesterday, the Browns beat reporter puts posts on X. Just watch Nick Chubb running full speed, making super aggressive cuts. Looks amazing. Owner would not let us film it. They're trying to keep Chubb a secret from us. He's going to be ready, guys. Chubb is going to be amazing this year. He is a superhuman freak. He's already survived this injury. Just look at his film. Look at his tape. Why are you drafting Jerome Ford? Stop drafting Jerome Ford ahead of Nick Chubb. He's not the starting running back there. I don't care if he starts the first 4 games. He is not going to be the guy there. He's a wasted pick. You're wasting money drafting Jerome Ford. I had him last year. I drafted Chubb in the first round in like 3 of my fantasy leagues last year. And luckily, I handcuffed him with Ford in a couple, and I was able to get Ford off waivers. And I started Ford almost every game last year. And my fantasy research suggests week after week after week that Ford had a great matchup. And I'm telling you, he stunk. If not for catching 3 balls for 30 yards a game, he was not even worth rostering. And I looked the other day, it was like running back 20 or something. And it just goes to show you, if you stay healthy and you're the guy, you're gonna end up finishing as a top 20 running back. But that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the guy that stays healthy and gets 48 yards a game. I'm looking for the guy that has the chance to have 120 yards and 2 touchdowns sometimes. And Ford is just not that guy. He had 4 games over 15 points in full PPR. And he basically started 16 games. He only had 4 of 15 points. And now he's not going to be the running back when Chubb's back. Last year, he was going to finish the year as the running back unless he blew it. This year, he's not going to finish the year as the starting running back unless something happens that none of us want to see happen. I'm not rooting for Chubb to not come back from this injury. Same with Hawkinson. I want Hawkinson to come back and be great. I see somebody reach for him at 134 in this draft. Dude, you could have got him at 155. Let's see why you did this. Pitts, Hawkinson. Why are you reaching for Hawkinson when you already have Pitts? You're good, man. You can wait on Hawk now. You needed wide receiver there. Sir Alley Jr. picking in the 11th spot. Got to get you tuning in here, bro, so we can teach you some things. Disco. St. Brown, Moore, McLaurin, Dobbs, Davis, Mooney. What a nice receiver room. What a nice receiver room. Love and Goff. Gibbs, White, and Harris. Love it. Great draft, Disco. Doing a great job here. What about David Montgomery? Do you think about taking Montgomery when you have Gibbs? I feel like I want to draft Montgomery if I have Gibbs, because best case scenario for that backfield, one of them gets hurt. The other guy is an absolute league winner if one of them goes down. You're winning your league if one of those guys goes down. I'm on the clock here. I got my 5 running backs. I like Adam Thielen here. He had 100 catches and 1,000 yards last year, and he's going in the 150s. I don't know what's going to happen this year. I probably shouldn't have Adam Thielen as much as I have him. I'm torn here between Chuba Hubbard. I think I might have a chance to grab a 6 starting running back. I also like Michael Wilson. He's not going to make it back. I'm going to take Michael Wilson. Michael Wilson is my number 1 owned player, I believe. I'm going to check on the chat here. Disco, I like to get, I think he's talking about Montgomery. I like to, but there's too much juicy value there at other positions and needs, especially when I go with a bully build. True, Disco. You take that bully tight end. I think that it's a good idea to avoid handcuffing any running back early. So if I'm going bully tight end, and let's say I draft Kyron Williams, I just can't take Blake Corum anymore. The only way I can go bully tight end and take Blake Corum if I have Kyron Williams is if I go 3 starting running backs only, and maybe sneak a 4th in by luck, by somebody sliding. But I'm a firm believer that if you really screw up at running back and you really are in a spot where you're not going to have any depth, start cuffing your guys. At least you have the room. You know, there's a good chance that somebody from that room is at least fantasy relevant and can keep you rolling in these tournaments. And if you only have 3 starting running backs, I don't know if I love the chances of winning this thing unless you get lucky and some of the guys that you draft end up, you know, the next Kyron Williams or something like that. I'm a big believer in getting 5 starting running backs, and it doesn't work out that often. I just think it's a good goal to start with, and you have to be open-minded, and you have to not reach too bad for guys. I really wanted to reach for a 4th guy when I took Singletary in round 9, but I didn't see any value there, and I wasn't about to take, you know, I wasn't about to take one of these RB2s that people are putting RB1 value on. So I pushed that and went Jacoby Myers. I think that was the right move there. So now we're in round 15, and we really got to start looking at some things on the draft board here in round 15. First off, you want to look at your team. You want to look at your bye weeks. And you want to make sure you're not in any bye week trouble. You got to pay attention to this all draft. But like right now, I only have 1 QB. My running backs bye weeks 12, 14, 11, 7, 10. I did a great job there. I knew what I was doing there. I've done this build quite a bit. My wide receivers by 14, 10, 9, 10, 11, 11. So I'm going to try to avoid by week 10 and by week 11 the best I can, at least until rounds 19 and 20, if possible. I'm okay with having 3 receivers with the same bye when you have a build like I have, because I have 5 starting running backs and I have 2 great tight ends. So I really am just looking to get 3 receivers in my lineup here. I'm not looking to set the world on fire at receiver with this team. I've already kind of gave that possibility up. You know, I don't. We're at 179, 180, and Ricky Pearsall still out there. He's got that little injury to start camp. He's been sliding like crazy. If Ayuk causes problems there, I like him. He had some really good tape. I watched every receiver in this draft. at least 25 minutes of film on each one coming into this draft. I'm a huge draft junkie. I knew the Bills were in a bad spot at receiver, and I'm a big Bills fan. So for me, I'm going to take Mims. I got 214 bye-week receivers now. 2 9s, 2 14s, 2 10s, and 2 11s. I'm good with that. I don't know what's going to happen with the Broncos receiving core here. I really don't. One thing that comes to mind is Troy Franklin played college football with Bo Nix. And Troy Franklin, in the early draft boards, was kind of a consensus top 60 prospect. He was going no later than the second round in all the mock drafts. And I don't know what happened with him on draft day, but he slid and slid and slid. And for the longest time, I thought he was maybe one of the better prospects left on the board, and he just kept sliding. And I love that they paired them back up together. They got chemistry. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Franklin ends up really being a great prospect for them. But I know there's a lot of hype on Mims too. When Mims and Franklin are both there, I'm always kind of taking turns on who I pick. I don't want too much of either. I think the last couple times I took Franklin. I'm going to take Mims this time. Disco took Roshan. He's got Quentin Johnson, Denard Robinson. You know, Robinson was phenomenal down the stretch. I think he scored a touchdown in like 4 of his last 5 games or something. Huge Robinson guy. If I got Stafford, I'm definitely trying to take Robinson, but you know, I always seem to miss him. I feel like 175 might be a little too high for him, even though I like him. I just miss him. Doesn't make enough of my teams. Good job, Disco, getting him on your team. I love your receiver room. 8 receivers. Your worst one is Robinson. Man, you don't need more than one more receiver if you're thinking another receiver here. Damn you. Taking Pierce. It's a good pick. It's a good pick. If I was going to handcuff just one guy on this draft at running back, I would have handcuffed Mixon because I have Stroud and Nico, and I just kind of like to handcuff the running back on mega builds when I do that, so I can always count on having that mega build. I like the running back quarterback cuff a lot because I feel like in best ball you're going for spike weeks, and if you have a really good offensive day, the running back and the quarterback both usually do well. It's not one or the other as much as people think. If you score 40 points, Stroud and Mixon more than likely both having a good game. They could each score 20 fantasy points that week. I'm on the clock. It's round 18 and 19. I don't have a second quarterback yet. I better get one. I got George Pickens. I'm going to take Russell Wilson. And I know this is a reach, but I don't want this to get away from me. I'm starting to do this a little bit lately. I'm going to take Russell Wilson and Justin Fields because I have Pickens. And I avoided a second QB the entire draft knowing that I could do this here. I like that stack. Both are, like I said earlier, great deep ball throwers. Check in here on the chat. What up, JC? Is that you, JC? Are you the Sports Addicts Network here, or you're the sports affiliate? The Sports Addicts, what is your real name? My real name is Dan Neely. I'd like to know everybody's real name. Ari, okay. Ari? I like that. I grew up in the smallest town in the United States. We had no diversity. We had just a bunch of Pennsylvania hillbilly rednecks. And I really am enjoying the diversity here in Orlando. The food is incredible. I gained like 15 pounds when I moved here because I was eating every cuisine imaginable. And I've lost the 15 pounds here in the last month. I've been doing intermittent fasting. And I don't know if you're trying to lose some weight, I highly recommend doing intermittent fasting. Right now, I'm having some black coffee, and that's all I can have till noon. Water or tea. Like a psychopath, iced coffee with no ice. So I'm set at QB. I love this QB build. Stroud, Wilson, and Fields. Talk about value. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields cuff in rounds 17 and 18. I mean, why aren't you guys doing this more? Why is this not a strategy that's getting bumped up to rounds 15 and 16 by now, or rounds 16 and 17 by now? Instead, we're taking Drake May ahead of these guys. We're taking Carr. I could get behind Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young's got a lot of good weapons, and I could see him taking a nice step with their new coach. The coach helped Baker Mayfield be good. Need I say more? Hey, this stream's going a lot better than my first stream. Thank you, Disco, for calling me and helping me in the beginning here. I really appreciate you. You are a great human being, and you deserve nothing but the best. And I tell you what, man, if any of this ever works out for me in any way, shape, or form, in a major way, I am taking you with me. If my site takes off, if anything takes off and I can take anybody with me, I'm going to take you guys that are supporting me with me. You guys have great stuff. You guys have great content. You guys are great humans. I'm on the clock. I'm rambling. I know I have a tendency to ramble. That's why I might be good at this. I'm taking Tank Bigsby. I don't need the extra running back, but Etienne is my number one running back on this team, and Bigsy's just sitting there. And I'm going to get another receiver here. I'm just going to take a flyer on a guy. I'm going to take a flyer on Van Jefferson here. He right now is the number 2 receiver in Pittsburgh, and I have Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and George Pickens. So I don't think Van Jefferson's worth rostering. I don't really think he's worth drafting in any fantasy league, but I had a discussion with my friend from Pittsburgh last night for a little while on the phone, and we were talking about who might be the guy that flashes there some weeks. And, you know, the fact that Wilson and Fields both really like to push the ball down the field, down the sidelines, and the fact that Van Jefferson's made a living on tracking the deep ball, I personally, if I was GM of Pittsburgh, would want 2 George Pickens type receivers as my 1 and 2 there, given that QB room. I wouldn't worry about having the league's best route runner. I wouldn't worry about having another Darnell Mooney type of guy there, because Fields clearly didn't do much with that type. I don't know if Jefferson and Mooney are similar. Maybe they are. But I think that I like my team. I'll give it a quick grade here. I got CJ Stroud, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. I got Nico Collins, George Pickens, and Van Jefferson for some correlation there. I like a little more correlation than that. I'm a big correlation guy. I'm able to do it in 95% of my drafts. I think it's a strong suit of me. I can watch. I know how this is going to unfold. I got a lot of different draft strategies that pop up mid-draft to get correlation. And a lot of times I'll avoid somebody just because I can't get correlation at quarterback, so I'm not going to take a blind quarterback unless I'm desperate or somebody slid so much that I just can't watch the slide any longer. Like, done that a lot with CJ Stroud, Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield. I've taken Baker Mayfield at like pick 200 before. Etienne and Bigsby, Mixon, Singletary, Elliott, and Chubb. Super, super good running back room here. Maybe not that super top-end guy, but Etienne, Mixon, Singletary all could finish in the top 15 based on volume alone. I see them all having plenty of good spike weeks. I know Houston's line isn't that great, but Mixon is a grinder, man. He's not the kind of guy that needs big holes. He'll get you that extra yard. He'll get you that short yardage situation. He'll lean over and get you that touchdown. Nick Chubb, I love Nick Chubb. Ezekiel Elliott has just got insane value right now. I got him at 132. Are you kidding me? What are you guys thinking? Nico Collins, Devontae Adams, George Pickens, great at the top. Big drop-off here with Myers, but I'm only going to need 3 receivers on this team. I think Adams and Myers combination is going to give me 1 every week. I think Nico is going to be really solid. I project him to have 30 or 40 more targets this year. He had 109 targets, and he is ascending. He is the most ascending wide receiver in the NFL. He is this year's CeeDee Lamb. He is this year's St. Brown. He is the guy that has proven that he needs more targets, and they're going to give it to him. Don't be fooled by Diggs taking away his targets. It's not happening. It's not happening. Thielen, he's my number 5. He had 100 catches last year. Michael Wilson, I think he's going to have 5-6 games of 15 or more points. Ricky Pearsall could step into a big role. That was a gamble. Marvin Mims might be the wide receiver 2 in Denver. I like Mims a lot in DraftKings fantasy best ball. I don't know if you guys do any DraftKings, but DraftKings gives you special teams touchdown scoring. So, it's not like Scott Fish or anything, but I mean, if Mims is a kick returner and he gets 3 touchdowns this year on kick and punt returns, and he's the number 2 receiver, his value is a little higher on that format. Maybe Van Jefferson, like I said, I think we covered that. He's the number 2 right now. So I took that for some correlation. I think in the 20th round, just take some correlation. Evan Ingram and Jake Ferguson, what a great tight end group. I like this team a lot. I think it has a chance. And one thing I want to do with my grading here is I don't want to give people A's, B's, C's, D's, B pluses, B minuses. I just want to say this team has a chance to win it all. Disco, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, Zamir White, Harris, Roschon, Pierce, Edwards-Helaire, Hill, Sanders. So I like what you're doing here, Disco. I don't do it very much. but this is the right thing to do. Okay, so you got 3 good running backs, and that was really it. You got 3 good running backs here, and you got to do what you just did. You took a flyers on a whole bunch of guys that would be really good if the situation pans out for them. Roschon, Swift is an injury waiting to happen. Roschon could be the starting back there by the end of the year. I'm not a big Swift believer. Dameon Pierce has proven to be a good guy for them. I think that if Mixon goes down, I wanted Pierce, so screw you. Why'd you take Pierce? You took him at value. At least you didn't reach for him. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I like him. I get it. He's a 2 Paquico or Paquico, or I don't even know how to pronounce that guy's name, but he is frail, man. He's skinny. He runs so hard. He's an injury waiting to happen. Derrick Henry's backup and Justin Hill. Don't believe anybody else if they try to tell you it's not Justice Hill. It is Justice Hill. He is good. Look at Justice Hill highlights. Just go on YouTube, type in Justice Hill highlights, and reassure yourself that he is the number 2 running back there. The coaches love him. He's on the field. He's going to be on the field a lot. He's not just the number 2. He's going to play. He's going to have 100+ touches. Miles Sanders is going to get traded. I think it's a great pick. He might even get released. What if he gets released and Dallas picks him up? Is he going to be ahead of Zeke? Just something to consider. So you got Goff and Amon-Ra. You got Jordan Love and Dobbs. Love the correlation. You got yourself Laporta, and you were able to wait for him. Great value at 42. You could have reached for him, and I still would have been okay with that pick. So you did a great job with the bully tight end build here. I think Disco, I'm after your scepter, man, for the tight end bully build. You and I are the 2 tight end bully guys, man. And I know you get all the credit for it, and I'm going to continue to give you all the credit for it. But pay attention, because I have been doing it from day 1 too. I was doing it before I met you, before I met all you guys. If I went back and showed you all of my drafts before you guys invited me into this wonderful community, I bet you 80% of them have 2 tight ends before Njoku. I think 2 tight ends before Njoku is one of my favorite draft strategies. And you were great at it, man. And I just hate those late round flyers on tight ends. I'd rather have a late round flyer on a Quentin Johnson or Demarcus Robinson or Darnell Mooney or Dameon Pierce or Nick Chubb or somebody like that than Noah Fant or Cade Otton or Isaiah Likely. I mean, Isaiah Likely is a number 2 tight end. I draft him some, but I think he's relying on an injury to really be relevant. Disco, great draft. I don't know. Is there anybody else? Anybody else in here? I don't know if the community's names as well as some of these other some of these other guys that have been doing this a while, like Sleaze and Disco. Does anybody in the chat want their draft graded? If so, just tell me your username on Drafters here, and I'll give it a quick grade. You know, why our drafts are so good is because it might just be us in here from the community, man. Our community is sharp. We are killing it, and I'm going to be completely honest. I have waited for the queue to fill on some of our drafts lately and just hopped in the next draft and chilled with you guys. And my team is benefiting from just knowing that none of you are in the draft. And I haven't done that more than a couple or a few times, but it's a good strategy. You want to make some money, avoid us, but also draft with us, because it's fantastic drafting with all you guys, and I look forward to it. JC, love you guys, man. Bear Fan Pete, thank you guys for stopping in. Appreciate you guys. B minuses across the board. I think I'll tell you guys what. You get the B minus stuff going, and I'll buy some merch from you guys. And you guys, B minus all day. All right, I'm gonna turn this thing off. I've been on for an hour. I really appreciate all you guys joining me. I had a great time. This went way better than the first time. Hope you guys picked up some good tips and knowledge from me. I appreciate all you guys. Love you guys. I'm going to try to do this when I can, and I don't want to do this at the same time as anyone. So if you see me lurking around asking when everybody's on and stuff, it's just so I can catch you guys and not step on anybody's toes. You guys are doing great stuff, and I want to be part of it. So appreciate you guys hopping on here, man. Peace.